Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is HD StarCraft, and how y'all doing today? It is actually now Tuesday because I have been casting since about 11 o'clock on Monday night, and now it is 12 o'clock a.m. on Tuesday. How you guys all doing? Happy Tuesday, and down in the bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to be casting for you guys a game with a Protoss player. His name is, of course, WhiteRa. He is the granddaddy Protoss of them all. And over across on the other side of the map, we have the Red Terran player. His name is Root.Drewbie. And this is going to be pretty cool because we've got two pretty big players in the scene here. Drewbie's well known and is a big streamer on Team Liquid, of course. And one of the key components on Team Root, the re-energized, revitalized Team Root, actually, as they kind of disbanded for a while and became Team Complexity. But Drewbie is going to be the Red Terran player, and it looks like both of them just kind of having a bit of a chat here, asking if WhiteRa enjoys playing on the North American server. And anytime you ask somebody from Europe if they like playing on the NA servers, it's like, well, I guess so, but you know, it's the only option I have unless I want to play on the Euro servers. And honestly, a lot of people default to the North American servers unless, of course, you are Korean. Reason being is because the North American servers have a pretty high level of competition. Not saying the European servers don't, but WhiteRa obviously wanting to compete against some of NA's best, and this should be pretty good, man. It's going to be a Protoss versus Terran. This is from WhiteRa's recently released replay pack number 3. And I actually looked at the date he released this on. I think it was on September 12th, so it's about a couple of weeks old, meaning that I don't think we have the newest changes to Heart of the Swarm implemented in this build of StarCraft 2, meaning we're not going to see that new Mothership Core. And for those of you guys who don't know what the new Mothership Core is all about, basically now the Mothership Core can now move around. It can fly around the place much faster than it used to be able to. It also has a new attack, basically much faster than it was before, and so it's a mobile component of your army. And if you want to recall your whole army back, you actually have to have your Mothership Core with you. It also has a new portion attached to its Purify ability that allows it to become a permanent cannon on any nearby nexus. And I'm just looking at its stuff right now, and it looks like, yeah, so this is before the latest change, before patch 4 to Heart of the Swarm. So WhiteRa is going to have to be content with utilizing a more outdated version of Heart of the Storm here. And it looks like we do have a Warhound on the way as well. So Drewbie here still has the ability to use Warhounds. I never actually looked at the portrait of the Warhound, but that guy looks very smug. And I would be pretty smug and confident as well if I was a Warhound. Very powerful unit, getting a melee auto attack in there, now using Haywire on the Stalker. And actually this Warhound can beat a Zealot and a Stalker when microed correctly, but Drewbie actually did not micro correctly there and allowed that Zealot to get right up in his face. So he loses a Warhound to an initial just Zealot and Stalker. Not the best right there by Drewbie, but it's okay. He's got another Warhound on the field. And, you know, the reason why I don't feel too bad about casting replays like this, even though, you know, the Warhound has been removed, is, like I said before, I do feel like Blizzard is going to re-implement the Warhound at some future point in time. The reason why I say that, this is actually one of the key points, is because they made a patch note, and this is the one where they actually reintroduced the carrier, and they said the Warhound's Haywire ability will no longer proc on the Immortal's Hardened Shield, or the Hardened Shield will no longer proc the Haywire, something like that. And then later on in the patch note, they said, well, we're going to remove the Warhound entirely. So I do think that based on that they are tinkering around with the Warhound, and then they kind of made a last-second decision. Let's just go ahead and take it out. We'll fix it on the drawing board, and then we'll reintroduce it. Because let's face it, as a unit right now, it is extremely, extremely good. But we do have Drewbie here making 2 of them at the moment in time. He has a macro orbital as well inside of his base. He's going for a definite factory build here, as he's got 3 factories at home. And he might be thinking about making an attack here with his forces, but it looks like he is going to pull back and play a more defensive style and try to hold on to his natural expansion. Meanwhile, WhiteRa here, what has he got planned? He's got a pylon coming up over in the bottom left. And, you know, he's got a Stargate at home as well with Twilight Council researching charge. This is kind of interesting. I wonder, is he going to make an attack with Charge Lot and a few Void Rays? This is very interesting. Maybe he'll make a few Phoenixes to counter the Warhound. I'm not entirely sure, but this is a very unique build coming out of HDreplays. We usually see most Protoss go 3-gate Robo or 5-gate Robo or 1-gate Robo and then get a third Nexus, but he's actually added on a Stargate and a Twilight Council, so there's no robotics facility whatsoever from HDreplays, and he's making a ton of charge lots. Now, to counter Warhounds, to counter mech, charge lots are actually not a bad unit at all. The only problem to that is Battle Hellions can be effective against that. So HDreplays will need to implement Archons at some point in order to supplement his Charge Out army. Charge Out Archon is very good against Terran mech in Heart of the Swarm. And it looks like he is not making a Voider. He's going to make an Oracle. And of course, the Oracle, every new patch that Blizzard brings out, it's gotten this random new change. You know, the Entomb ability now lasts 10 seconds longer. The Entomb fields now have 100 more HP. Oh, now we're going to make it 50 less HP and last 5 seconds less. I know, it's been changing a lot. So, you know, it's hard to say what the Oracle does now, but we can see in this version at least a little outdated. The Oracle still moves extremely quickly. It was nerfed in terms of movement speed just recently, and here we go. It was energized by the Mothership Core, so it has plenty of energy, going to drop down the Entomb fields on the SCVs. And those base construction vehicles are now going to switch over to Entomb killing duty, as it looks like 2 Entombs have gone down, but in the meantime, it looks like Drewbie making an attack at the front door here. Zealots warping in, but there are Battle Hellions at the front. Oh my goodness, the Battle Hellions are just ripping through the Zealots. And will there be enough here to Drewbie to take it out? Oh, he kills off the sentries in the back as well. And now there's a Mothership Core coming back home, and of course there's no way for Drewbie to actually hit air here, but the Mothership Core is so dreadfully slow in this version of HOTS that it will not be able to come back to save the probes, but it looks like some Zealots are going to be warped in here, and all the Battle Hellions have been killed off. So both armies trading heavily there, and it's hard to say who's ahead right now, but I think maybe Drewbie just slightly 75 over 67 on the supply tabs right now. Wow, that was an insane attack, and overall, you know, HDreplays defended that pretty well. I feel like he also was able to get in a little bit harassed by using his Entomb fields, and Entomb fields are actually pretty dangerously good against Terran, because if you can get in there before or while the meal is going, it actually totally negates the meal and wastes its expiring lifetime. And here we have a couple of Zealots going after meals as well, so 2 meals are going to drop there, and HDreplays, oh man, that Zealot could not make up its mind, and that's what happens when a Zealot can't make up its mind. So that Zealot went down to the forces there, and now the Oracle is coming back in for another Entomb. The Granddaddy Protoss dropping off Entomb fields all over the place, just trying to keep Drewbie from realizing the full potential of a 3-base Terran. And he's been doing a pretty good job at that, of just blocking the mineral fields. And it's always so annoying when you do this against any player, because you're forced to actually re-micro your SCVs and re-macro them onto the mineral fields. So a lot of times players will actually forget to do that, and when you forget to do that, obviously it just compounds the issue of having an Oracle, you know, flying in and disrupting your mining. Back in home here, HDreplays is adding on his first Archon. He saved the other 4 Templar for Storm, so he did research Storm fairly quickly here. This was a super fast 2-base tech into not only Stargate, but also Templar. That is so impressive to me that HDreplays was able to pull that off and defend against that Warhound attack. It looks like he just lost his Oracle right there, though. Don't think it was to a Widowmine, rather it was to Vikings. So he will not be able to harass anymore. And I think the beauty behind HDreplays' build here is he uses the Oracle as a means of distracting the Terran player, allowing him to quickly tech up on 2 bases, charge on Archon and Oracle. And now he finally grabs the 3rd base, and he's able to defend against most attacks because he's got Templars with Storm ready to go. And charge on Archon is actually a very, very good composition against the full-on mech style that Drewbie is fielding right now on the map. So HDreplays is actually looking pretty good, guys. I mean, at this point in the game, it's super close, but I think HDreplays' build is very clean, very effective. His Oracle did enough damage to justify the cost, and of course he can still make more Oracles if he needs to. In fact, he's got a fleet beacon down on the ground. He could actually go for Tempest here, but he's making a real full-on mothership. So he's transforming his Mothership Core into a mothership. He might want to actually cancel that, though, because he might need it for defensive purposes right here and right now. That Mothership Core extremely exposed, but the Templar are coming in, then here comes the first Storm. Great Storm, but the Mothership Core has gone down. And HDreplays now coming in with all of his charge on Archon. Another big storm and a second storm coming. Oh, the storm is just ripping through the Warhound Battle Hellion. And Drewbie is going to lose everything. That was a beautiful engagement. HDreplays even pushing the Archon that was morphing there into the front lines. That's just showing, I don't know if that was intentional or accidental, but if it was intentional, that's just HDreplays showing his special tactics right there, pushing Archons all over the place, getting them in the front lines, and now HDreplays bringing in Zealots as well. They are charge upgraded, of course. Gonna try to do some economic damage, but oh, the Widowmine comes in and takes out all the shields of the Zealots, but was not enough to actually kill them off. Although, of course, it'll make the Warhound's job much easier when it comes to killing off those Zealots. And the Zealots are now down. Meanwhile, HDreplays sending a contingency down to the bottom left. Oh, those SCVs changing their mind in a hurry. Don't want to go into Archons. And that CC is going to be forced to lift off. One Templar might go down here. No, HDreplays is going to get out of the way. And the beauty and the reason why Charge on Archon is so good against mech, Warhounds do not proc Haywire on Charge on Archon. Although there are so many Warhounds here that it doesn't really matter. And HDreplays actually losing a sizable portion of his army there. Gets one Warhound kill. And now bringing in some charge lots as well, as he's got that proxy pylon from earlier on before to provide reinforcements. He might get off actually 2 more Warhounds. Very nice job by HDreplays. Doesn't want to overextend his stay here, man. The Terror doesn't have much hospitality for him, and he will lose his final remaining Archons. Now, will HDreplays stick to a Charge on Archon style versus Drewbie's mech style? I certainly think that is what he's planning to go for, but he does also have a mothership coming. And with the addition of the Fleet Beacon, will we potentially see some Tempests? Tempests are actually not a shabby unit at all when it comes to countering mech, because Drewbie has no way of hitting air right now, so that could be a possibility, although he does have some Vikings on the ground. So pretty smart of Drewbie actually to incorporate a few Vikings into his mech army. And I take back what I said, I guess he does have a way to hit air. Although some Zealots are now inside his mineral field once again. Total workers right now, 11 kills for Drewbie, 22 for HDreplays. But HDreplays, of course, isn't able to meal up as Drewbie is. So even though he's killed more workers than Drewbie has, Drewbie's got a bunch of meals to back up his economy. And there's just little skirmishes going off all over the place, man. HDreplays just sending in Zealots willy-nilly, trying to figure out if there's an opening. But now the destructible debris has been killed off, or the rock tower at least. And of course that means the Zealots will not be able to harass into that corner anymore. Once Drewbie is able to kill off the pylon down in the bottom left and the pylon up here at the top right, he's going to have pretty much dominant map control, I feel like. Both players now on 4 bases. And HDreplays has his mothership out, so we have the full-fledged 100% mothership on the field here. This is not a partial mothership core, it is a full-on mothership. A couple of Hellions in the back of the mineral field, but they will get taken out extremely quickly. As Drewbie, wow, that unit went down so fast. I think that might have been a probe. It just ate like 50 Haywires to the face. And Drewbie's going to drop a triple orbital in vision of the pylon. And so now HDreplays knows, okay, I mean, he probably knew before, but alright, he knows now that there is going to be a super late game build coming out from Drewbie here, who may even decide to go into battlecruisers. There are battlecruisers coming! And anytime you see a bunch of CCs coming down in Terran versus Protoss, you've got to automatically think BCs. And, you know, you look at the top left and there are 2 BCs on the way right now. HDreplays will need to get more Stargates on the field. He's adding on a crap ton of more gateways though, right now at 16, 17 gateways total inside the main base, not counting any outside, but it doesn't look like there are. But yeah, HDreplays will actually need his mothership for similar to what Squirtle did against MVP in an epic GSL finals. A mothership vortex, excuse me, on a group of BCs is deadly effective, and you can still toilet bowl that with the Archons. Meaning, of course, you mothership core vortex all the battlecruisers into one spot, you send the Archons inside, when everything comes out, they're all bunched up, and then goodbye battlecruisers. So if that is indeed HDreplays' strategy here, I mean, I don't even know if he realizes that BCs are unproduction, but like I said before, you gotta assume in TVP, when you see this many orbital commands, you know, and he saw it with that pylon, you've got to assume battlecruisers are coming. And in Heart of the Swarm, battlecruisers air-to-surface ATS laser battery does more damage than it does in Wings of Liberty. It was buffed. So it is a very viable solution to late game TVP. And we can see Drewbie is definitely making use of that. That DT will see the BC. And so now WhiteRa realizes what's going on. He's actually researching Blink. Blink Stalkers, they can be effective against battle cruisers. I'd much rather prefer, obviously, you know, Void Rays or something of that sort. And he's got one Void Ray on the field right now. One DT inside the mineral fields, harassing Drewbie's economy. And Drewbie losing quite a bit of workers this game. 36 workers down so far. And he's going to continue to lose more. Finally, the Planetary Fortress kills that off as one Void Ray is going to work. Does Drewbie have any anti-air? He does. So I think that orbital will be alright. I love the setup though. One planetary and two orbitals. That's pretty much as well defended as you can get. Plus you get the eco as well. You can see, we can hear Drewbie just dropping comsats all over the place. I'm not quite sure where the comsats are going down at. He might just be scanning the front of his base or inside his base. Yeah, he's scanning inside his base, checking for DTs. And there might have been a few DTs in there that he just cleaned up. But right now WhiteRa is preparing to move out. He's got sizable forces of Charge HOTS and Archons, and we're looking at the, you know, the army supply tab right now, 200 to 162, but then you look at Drewbie's army and it just seems so much bigger, and it just doesn't make any sense. But when you look at the harvester tabs, it does. About 40 supply is tied up entirely, less into economy for Drewbie than it is for WhiteRa, and that of course means a bigger army. GT's continuing to slash away at the SCV count, and WhiteRa has killed off the Rock Tower. There are Ravens on the way as well, so Drewbie is going to try to incorporate Ravens with Seeker Missile. Oh, this game is going to be epic. We're going to have a massive battle of monstrous proportions. WhiteRa clearing off those Rock Towers, have gone in with a few Zealots to once again harass the SCV line. And this game really has just been about WhiteRa harassing constantly with GTs, with Zealots, with whatever he can get in there, and he's killed off so many workers already. But once again, you know, the problem with this is the Terran player has so many orbital commands. It's like, alright, you can kill off my SCVs, but I'm gonna mule like crazy. And honestly, look at my bank. Drewbie is at 3k 600, and WhiteRa is barely ahead of him, only 1,000 minerals more. So it is a very close game, but WhiteRa is going to go in with the mothership. Is he going to get a huge vortex down the Templar? Oh, they feed back the battle cruisers, and now the vortex have gone in. WhiteRa can send all of his Archons inside. Prepare for the toilet bowl flush, ladies and gentlemen, and Drewbie's army on the outside of the vortex has been killed off. A double vortex, in fact, and the Archons have all come out. Does WhiteRa have enough to kill off this many? I don't think so. Drewbie actually has more than enough firepower to kill off the Archons. This is not Zerg versus Protoss, this is Terran versus Protoss, and our units don't die nearly as quickly. So Drewbie there surviving the toilet bowl. That was a certainly scary, scary moment right there for the Terran player. But then, of course, you forget that it's Warhounds, man. Warhounds are OP. And now Drewbie is going to go down to the bottom left, or he's going to save this expansion, so he has been able to kill off the harassing Dark Templar. WhiteRa, though, throughout this ordeal has been expanding like crazy. Look, he's grabbed the expansion just a doorstep away from the planetary and the double orbital. This is like the boldest expansion possible. I don't know why WhiteRa got this one. He should have actually just expanded over here. Okay, I guess he's going to go ahead and expand over here, too. So WhiteRa is just all over the place right now, and it's kind of like watching a Zerg player play. It's redundant expansions, because should this expansion die, WhiteRa's still got the expansion up here to work with. So it's a very interesting playstyle right now from WhiteRa. He's still sending in Dark Templar and Zealots to harass the economy of Drewbie's. In total killed off 70 workers this game at this point, and that does begin to add up. I mean, it forces the Terran to continually produce more SCVs, replace his meals. We can see his bank not as good as WhiteRa's. Well, it just changed right now. He's actually winning at this moment in time. But, you know, 45 workers under 90, that's almost less than, almost about half. But Drewbie has a massive army of Warhounds, so it's really hard to say who's ahead at this point. WhiteRa beginning to potentially make an attack over in the bottom left, but the orbital survives at 3 HP, repaired at the last second, and it had enough energy for a mule as well. So it's important that Drewbie kept that expansion alive, and he has. And look at this Warhound Viking BC army on the map, fielded by Drewbie. He's got a Raven in there for detection as well, so the DTs can't do anything. And WhiteRa knows he cannot fight that army head on. He's trying to remake his mothership core at this moment in time, or the mothership, I should say. His upgrades are at 2-1-3, Drewbie at 2-3. And continuing to produce battle cruisers en masse. He's just got a factory line of them making back at home. And HDreplays is actually going to be able to kill off one of these expansions at the 12 o'clock position, but HDreplays in a terrible spot. He can't hope to fight here. He has to drop storms and beatbacks. The battle cruiser is almost Yamatoing those Templar right there. A little bit of overkill, I might add. But it looks like the Raven might have gone down. So this DT here, the lone assassin, could be HDreplays' gateway, his keys to hope here, if he can start to do some damage inside that army. But it looks like the DT, I don't know where the hell it went, so it's gone now. It's just retreating. So it decided not to fight, and this game is just out of control right now. Drewbie has claimed the expansion down in the bottom spot where HDreplays once was, and there's a planetary there along with the Warhound. So that expansion probably going to be pretty safe as Drewbie makes a huge march to the top right. And was this why Blizzard removed the Warhound? I don't know, but I can't see HDreplays fighting this army head on at all. He is going to take out this CC though. Gonna try to go eye for an eye. That's the best he can do at this point because, of course, he's losing this expansion up at the 12. And now gonna send his Zealots and his Archons down to the bottom left. There's a planetary there, though. Notice the architecture for Drewbie. That is gonna make it pretty hard for that planetary to die. And everything just comes in here. A couple of storms coming down, but Drewbie's just got way too much firepower for HDreplays to handle. And HDreplays gotta pull back once again. So both players take out each other's respective final expansions. You know, this expansion down here and this expansion down here. I think HDreplays got the better of it because he did get the expansion at the 3 for the Terran player. And at this point, it's actually 74 workers to 27. So in a weird, twisted kind of way, HDreplays has been able to just kill off so many SCVs this game. He's going to get these Warhounds as well. He's been able to kill off so many workers this game that at some point in the near future, Drewbie, while he's got the biggest army I have ever seen, Drewbie is going to run out of money. You know, he's banking 3K right now, yes, but he is not going to be able to fully mine with only 26 workers. At least not more than one base, so that could be a problem for Drewbie. And now HDreplays drops the Vortex. He gets the Vortex down, and now the BCs, are they going to go inside? Drewbie should not be sending the BCs inside. He's trying to Yamato the mothership. He gets it down, and now HDreplays needs to send the Archons in. HDreplays needs to send his Archons inside that mothership. He might be saving for a Templar Storm. Oh my goodness, this game is just absolutely insane. Yamato cannons coming out left and right. Feedback's coming to counter the BCs. And HDreplays is just hanging on by a bare thread right now. 110 supply, under 135. It matters not that he's ahead by 50 workers. If anything, that hurts him more than helps him because that means 50 more supply for Drewbie's army. And Drewbie just has so many BCs and Warhounds in the mix right now. Will HDreplays have enough to hold this off? Desperately warping on that one remaining pylon. The pylon is now down. There's another pylon in the back, though. And the Zealots going to be able to clean up these Warhounds. Meanwhile, the BC's doing some pretty good damage to these Stalkers. In the meantime, it looks like the Nexus forced to be canceled by HDreplays, as there were 5 Warhounds down there, so HDreplays is unable to claim a new expansion, and he has lost 2 in the process. And a potential attack right here from Drewbie as he sends these Warhounds down to the bottom side. Comsat revealing the hidden defenders, the Dark Templar. Terran building armor being researched for the Terran player. That's kind of interesting. Meanwhile, Zealots coming up inside the mix, going to be able to kill off a few SCVs and mules here. Look at the workers kill tab for HDreplays. 113 SCVs have gone down this game. That is just that number is like mind-boggling. You know, you don't even see Terran players building that many workers, let alone losing that many. So that is quite astonishing. And the SCV counts continuing to diminish because HDreplays got these hidden Zealots in the back of the 3rd base. And now Drewbie deciding, okay, it might be time to go ahead and just pull out a little bit. Too much hecticness for my blood. I need to calm down. I need to get my expansions mining. But no, he's going to actually send the battle cruisers on a Yamato mission on the pylon. And that is so smart because now reinforcements can't protect that base. But Drewbie sends his Warhounds into a trap. That was way too many Zealots and Stalkers for his Warhounds to handle, but he's still got another contingency of Warhounds on the left with backup coming. Gonna try to use these BCs to take out these Stalkers. Will he have enough to do so? 122 are his upgrades. Stalkers at 213. And, oh, wow, those forces were actually recalled out, I believe. I'm not too sure where they went. But maybe those stalkers just all died, I'm not entirely sure. But it looks like Drewbie here might have enough. I'm not too sure. Stalkers being called in. And really the important thing here is keeping the stalkers alive to deal with the BCs. There are more Warhounds coming to attack this Nexus at the left-hand side. This game is absolute insanity between WhiteRa and Drewbie. That BC is going to go down. One BC has dropped. And looking at the bank minerals here, 4K, 1,000 for Drewbie. So Drewbie actually has a ton of money to play with. I can't say the same for WhiteRa though, who's trying to micro 3 stalkers to beat a battlecruiser, and it will not happen. Or it will happen, but WhiteRa will have to GG because he's lost too many bases. He's run dry on money. What an absolute insane game, and the units lost tab reflecting how much action there was. 44K, 49K resources lost, almost 100,000 resources lost in a 37-minute game. That was insanity, and WhiteRa just playing his heart out, but just barely unable to defeat Drewbie. And I gotta say, Drewbie just an excellent game using the Heart of the Storm units, using the Warhounds to their fullest ability. And what the hell happened to those stalkers? Because I could have sworn that they were teleported out through the mothership recall, but I might have been wrong. I just kind of want to see it because I'm a curious monkey. And let's see what happens here. So there's those stalkers, and yeah, they were, oh, they blinked. Okay, they just blinked to the right, so silly me. Too much things going on in this game, my brain completely overloaded, but I hope you guys enjoyed this cast. If you did, check me out. I'm on YouTube at HD StarCraft. Of course, I'll always have more StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty, and Heart of the Storm replays coming out for you guys. And this is HD, signing out.